Hello everyone, welcome back to Daytime York Region. Today we are talking with Shannon Clark. She's the owner of For the Love of Food. This is a great approach to changing the way you eat, and the best part is you can keep eating the foods that you know and love. Shannon, thanks for coming in today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So this is a concept, I don't know if a lot of people think about ratios of foods and kind of the makeup of what they're eating, but the science behind it can really impact the results that you see.
Oh, absolutely. And when you think of Canada's food guide, you see that on that triangle or that pyramid that carbohydrates are about half and fats and proteins are the other half. So how do we ensure that our meals are no more than half carbohydrates so that we can keep our glycemic index down?
Oh, right. That's a good question. I mean, you're right. A lot of the foods we're eating are very carb heavy.
Yes.
What does that do to our sugar levels and to our bodies when we're eating primarily carbs and not enough of the other stuff?
Things. When our blood sugars go up, then our insulin spikes. And insulin is what's responsible for putting body fat on. And it turns sugar into body fat, but then it has a whole other impact on the brain, on the heart, atherosclerosis, all that kind of thing. So we really want to stabilize our blood sugars no matter what we do, no matter what we eat.
And we want to do that through every meal, right?
Oh, absolutely. It can't be carbs in the morning, proteins at lunch, and fats at dinner. It has to be a combination of the three in order to stabilize our blood sugar.
Yeah. I was amazed a couple of years ago when somebody said never just eat an apple.
Oh, yeah, no.
Never just sit down and have an apple. You have to have something with it.
Right.
The nuts or a healthy
peanut butter.
That's right.
Yeah.
And once you remember that, it can be quite easy to adopt, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about breakfast, because breakfast is one of the meals, I think, that is the most carb heavy for many Canadians.
Right. And it's the hardest meal. Whether you go to work, whether you have a ton of kids, whether you just are not a morning person, you don't really want to really do an overhaul on your breakfast, because just getting breakfast is great.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So let's start with breakfast.
Good for you if you're eating breakfast
yes,
of any type.
Exactly. Okay, so let's start with cereal. So most people can just handle a bowl of cereal. And it doesn't matter if it's Life or if it's a supposedly healthier cereal like Vector. These are still 77% carbohydrates. So how do you bring those carbohydrates down? Well, we add a half a cup of skim milk, because we've been told that skim milk is healthier than 2%. Say.
Well, that's right.
But this meal now with your coffee, we can't forget coffee. Coffee's a wash.
Get the coffee.
Yes, exactly, because we need that coffee.
Okay.
So this meal here, half a cup of milk with your serving size of Life cereal, is 72% carbohydrates.
Ooh.
So that's higher than half, right? That's higher than 50%.
Yeah.
So what can we do without changing your meal to bring it down to closer to 50% carbohydrates?
We need to add something.
Exactly. Let's add a tablespoon and a half of almonds.
That's it?
Yep. Now we're at 54% carbohydrates.
Oh.
So our glycemic index is going to come down, right? Can we do something else?
Yes.
Let's add 2% milk instead of skim milk, because now with that extra fat, which of course has vitamins in it, we can bring down our glycemic index now down to 49%.
No kidding. Now, are a lot of people shocked when you say take out the 1% and add the 2% milk? Have we been brainwashed to think that the 1% is healthier because it is lower in fat?
Right.
Fats are good.
Yes, exactly. Fats are probably the most important of the three, right? But, I mean, a cow doesn't give us skim milk. It really doesn't. So we should really stick to the natural whole foods that we have. So even whole milk is fine to have. It's only 3.25%. Right? And the other thing to think about is that when you're eating just this, that's 165 calories right there. If we need 1,650 calories at least, that's only 10% of your morning meal, 10% of your daily intake. But you add this and you're now at 17%, which is still not a ton. We need to be adding food.
Should we be adding to this already complete breakfast?
Sure.
Like the nuts and the cereal, and the milk, should we add anything else?
Well, if mornings are tough, then just adding the nuts is probably enough. But what about mid-morning? You add something else.
Okay.
Right? So, and you can do this for breakfast. For all you people out there that have nut allergies, well, let's just add 2 pieces of dark chocolate instead of the nuts. I mean,
we love you. We love you, Shannon, if you're throwing chocolate in there. And so that can be an alternative to the nuts. Why is chocolate? Because what is chocolate considered?
Well, and this is 70%, so it's not a doozy 90%, which will make you pucker your lips, right? 70% is really quite easy to get used to compared to milk chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But it's high in fat. It's also an antioxidant, yes, and it's a low carb. Who knew?
Oh my goodness.
It's a traditional food.
It's a real food.
Yes, it's a real food.
So, okay, so more real foods can help us balance out our daily
absolutely
requirements, right?
Yes. And if you've ever been to a grocery store in France, you don't just buy one chocolate bar. They come in packs of 6. So people put 2 or 3 packs in their carts. And when you go into the cereal aisle, there's the same as what we have, Captain Crunch, there's Special K, but there's also Captain Crunch with dark chocolate. And there's Special K with dark chocolate.
Eat more dark chocolate.
Eat more dark chocolate.
The French know what they're doing.
Oh, they do. That's why it's called the French paradox.
They're all thin, aren't they?
Yes.
So they're doing something right.
Absolutely.
Okay, interesting. So what percentage, when we sit down for any meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and our snacks, what should the percentage be that we're looking at for those carbohydrates, fats, and protein?
Well,
ideally.
50% carbs, 50% fats and proteins, depending on if you have a lot of muscle, you're going to eat more protein. Okay. If you're one of those curvy, beautiful Greek goddess bodies, you're going to eat more fat because your bodies do well on that.
Yes.
Right? And do not so well on carbohydrates. You can change that 50%, but what you really don't want are the high carbs for a normal body type. Those skinny long-distance runners, they're great with high carbs. But for the rest of us who struggle with the curves, you want your carbohydrates at 50%.
That's right.
So the program for the Love of Food is built on an equation, and the equation is built into a free app. So you can just download the free app on any of your iProducts and type in English muffin, and it will give you options of how to bring that English muffin to 50% of your
And so if we want to download the app, do we just type in For the Love of Food?
Yep. You can type in 4TLOF, and it'll come up as Food Lover.
Perfect. Okay. I will download that right after the show.
Good.
And so this was adopted, you originally started the program, you were doing kind of a classroom setting, but then the people who were taking the course who loved it so much were saying, what about the other people who can't be here in person in Aurora?
Right.
So you expanded it to an online program, right?
Yes. There are 12 lectures online that explain the program. And it also talks about exercise versus active living, fiber, fat, weight loss versus fat loss. And that's a big thing because often diets cause water loss, but not fat loss. If we can stabilize our blood sugars, our body will then remember how to burn fat.
Amazing. Shannon, please come back. We would love to have you back.
Oh, absolutely.
Fascinating information, everybody.
Good.
Go to the website fortheloveoffood.com. Love is L-U-V. We'll be right back with more on the show.